Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You, and we'd like to point out to any confused viewers that this is the first of a brand new series and not a repeat, unless you're watching on Saturday, in which case it's a repeat of the first of this brand new series. Hope that clarifies things for you. In the news, while we've been away, a Conservative Party spokeswoman admits that keeping Norman Tebbit under control is getting more and more difficult. At an EC banquet, an argument developed over who had the garlic bread. And in London, Jonathan Aitken goes on record to insist that his house has no fireplace. On Paul Merton's team, we're privileged to have with us the official leader of the opposition. Please welcome Ken Livingstone. And with Ian Hislop tonight, a comedian who, when he attempted to play London's Comedy Store 15 years ago, was greeted with the relentless chant of "Sod off Monkhouse." Well, we've managed to track down all those people to be our studio audience tonight, so please a big welcome for Bob Monkhouse. And so the start of round one was about 3 seconds ago. Film footage for all, Paul and Ken.
That's Charlie Whelan, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and this is Gordon Brown explaining how sound the economy is as it collapses. It's unwise for a government to spin a story in two opposite directions. It confuses the market, saying we join monetary union and 3 weeks later saying we wouldn't, and wiping about 10% off the value of the British economy. But we've all got to learn sometime, haven't we?
Yeah. This is the reference to your Chancellor, whose policy you described recently as bizarrely stupid.
Timing is so uncanny too, isn't it? Exactly 10 years after Black Monday. And they then called it Brown Monday, which I don't think had anything to do with the Chancellor. It had to do with the state of his pants when he found out what he'd done.
But Brown is this year's Black.
So Gordon Brown obviously would be much happier in a job that didn't involve him dealing with Europe, like being manager of Liverpool.
He would have said Arsenal, but we are recording in London, so...
Well, I'm trying to be topical here, and
yes,
I thought it was one of the ideas perhaps motivating the show.
You mentioned one or two of the spin doctors there.
Yes, well, that was the ever-lovely Charlie Whelan. Last time I saw him, we were in the same jacuzzi together, and but we won't go into that any farther.
I think we will. What were you doing there?
I was being told what to say, like we all are by the spin doctors these days.
I see.
I haven't got my pager here.
They're a marvellous selection.
My Mandelsonian pager. It goes beep, vote now. It says beep, no more votes, go home. Beep, don't answer the Sunday Times questionnaire, you know.
What's it say at the moment? Beep, you're fired. It's amazing you're fussy now. I mean, Blair goes into the city and gets booed, which is sort of what's meant to happen when you're a Labour Prime Minister. And then this is taken as a terrible shock. Yeah. Well, we're all meant to worry because a load of speculators got told one leak, speculated, and then lost all their money. I thought it was terribly funny.
As the markets recovered, Gordon Brown tried to clarify things to the press. "I'm determined that we will not fall into the sort of traps which the Conservatives fell into," he said as he climbed into bed with an 18-year-old nightclub hotel. Ian and Bob, the Queen.
Oh, yes, this is British Fashion Week. It's Robin Cook buying it. That's Amritsar.
Red.
That's a red cop, isn't it?
Yes, rather soggy.
Too spicy a vindaloo there, I think.
It's correctly identified, I think, as the lady that Prince Philip calls HRH indoors. And there he was, Prince Philip, as always, tactful.
To the last.
Very tactful, going to a monument of the Amritsar massacre and saying, no, that many didn't die. I knew the chap who did the massacre's son in the Navy.
He's amazing. He would take a mermaid to a fish fry, that man.
And what was Robin Cook's involvement in all this?
Disastrous.
Anyone else besides me see that Robin Cook is a little turgid, and of course the G is silent.
He said that the cancellation of the Queen's speech in Madras was just a storm in a toast cup. Do you think that's a joke, Ken? Is that Robin Cook's joke?
No, Robin's got a great sense of humour. I won't hear a word said against him. I can only have so many enemies in the front bench at one time.
This is the Queen's disastrous visit to India, which has been marred by a series of political embarrassments. The trip has also been blighted by a series of diplomatic blunders by Prince Philip. The last straw was at the banquet in Madras when he shouted to the Indian Foreign Minister, "Oi, Raji, 4 more lagers over here." Paul and Ken.
This is the headless frog. Well, it's not actually a headless frog, they're headless tadpoles. But there's real disinformation there because you started it with an albino frog, which got nothing to do with a headless frog at all.
I'm so glad you told us.
Yes,
well, now, I caught the first albino tadpole ever found in 1962 in Brockwell Park in Brixton.
You haven't even... You do have an incredibly interesting life.
There's some guy has developed, as Ken says, a headless frog, which is going to be used. This will help to create fresh organs for people who need transplants. So if you have a bad heart, you have a headless frog.
Yes, and who is it that's doing all these experiments?
Dr. Frankenstein.
Professor Slack is his name.
The one, yeah.
Yeah.
Professor Slack.
Slack.
Also invented the casual trouser.
There's actually nothing new in creating headless frogs, is there? Because we've been doing it since, well, the French Revolution, really. And, of course, the spineless one since around 1940.
Yes, that's...
I used to go out with a girl who was, well, she was half French. She was half French, half English. Weird woman, shaved under one arm. I'm sorry if there's anyone here who's French, but I don't like you.
You get the feeling Emu's going to be delayed again.
Well, for Dolly, they cloned that
Dolly, I was going to ask you about
That
Dolly.
was Dolly the sheep at the end.
right at the end. And that was a sheep that was produced by science alone without any sex being involved. That is the farmer's story, and he is sticking to it.
I read you'd lost that joke, Bruce.
Got it back, got it back.
And finally in this round, Ian and Bob, a family affair for you.
This is the wife, and this is the concubine, and this is the Piers Merchant, MP for Beckenham, Kent, where I was born. People seem to know I come from Kent. I hear them mutter the words as I pass them. Beautiful little Bridget Rowe, a harsh woman. There's a wife who's either very loyal or very deluded. This is the story of Piers Merchant and his researcher, Anna Cox, which is either her name or a short statement of facts, I don't know which. And subsequently, what I found very interesting is that Piers Merchant is 30 years older than her. She's 18. And Piers Merchant, MP, is 30 years older. And in the paper I read, it said that he was quitting due to mounting difficulties. That's what I read.
I didn't read any of this stuff.
It was a great shame. You obviously knew you were coming on this programme.
There were pages of it in the Sunday Mirror where that woman, Bridget Rowe, who's the editor, put it all in. She's known as Death Row.
By whom?
Me, mostly.
I had a feeling that might be the case. The Sunday Mirror described in remarkable detail the couple's visit to a restaurant. Merchant whispered, "You look good in blue, it matches your eyes." Anna blushed and said, "The star fruit in my fresh fruit salad tastes funny." after dessert, he looked round and said, "I love looking at other people in places like this and wondering what they do for a living." For example, that man with the long microphone on the end of a pole. So at the end of that round, both teams have accelerated Skoda Light from 0 to 4 in under 10 minutes, sharing as they do 4 points each. Round 2 this week plunges us into the increasingly vilified mire that is tabloid journalism. 2 eye-popping headlines to dismember, Paul and Ken. President Clinton.
Yes.
Well, this is the woman who claims she can identify the president by an unusual genital feature, which we were all told originally was that he had a bald eagle tattooed on his scrotum. Struck me as painful and unlikely, but now it transpires he has a growth which causes his organ to...
It's got a curve in it. Yeah,
odd
it's got a curve. So even if you're standing at the side of a building tying your shoelaces, you're still not safe. It's got a curve. Well, it curves upwards, I think, doesn't it?
Or
Yes.
it said in the paper it could go from side to side.
Yes, it's called Peyronie's disease,
That's
in
nice.
fact, and 1 man in 100 suffers from it. So,
Hands up.
They curve. Well, then just your hands and fine. It does curve upwards, this, doesn't it? It curves upwards.
yes, that's what they say.
What's his neck muscles like?
According to the doctor, this wasn't the case, of course. Naval urologist, Dr. O'Connell, has said it's normal in size, shape
What's he
and
looking at his
direction.
navel for? Does it cast a shadow? Has he got a sundial? Like a sort of porno version of Teletubbies, isn't it?
Yes, very good. So this is the further allegation.
Very good.
You got the answer right, that's fair enough. The rumour is that Clinton has a tattoo of an American bald eagle in his groin area, although some say it's a mole. Unusual choice of animal to have tattooed on the right. Ian and Bob, your literary stunner is ex-cabinet.
Oh, it's about jumpers, and it's about this Tory bonding. Bonding.
Bonding, that's the thing from bondage. Which
Indeed.
sort of
That's
what-
another weekend, probably not in Eastbourne. This is William Hague, taking them all down to Eastbourne to get to know each other. Anyway, it's been very successful. They've sung songs and sung songs, I think, and
And what were some of the songs that they were heard singing?
Rah Rah Rasputin. That's a favourite of Hague's.
Yes.
Haig normally dresses very formally. Somebody took his tie away from him, and then his shoelaces and his belt in case he hanged himself.
We can actually see some of the delightful attire that they showed up in. This is what John Redwood chose to wear when he was asked to. Lovely,
nice.
lovely sky blue
His
jumper.
human face.
Yeah. This is Tim Lawton. That's what he turned up in. And I think Stephen Dorrell probably wins the... He's
His
wearing-
aunt gave it to him, so he wore it on telly.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
That's lovely.
Goes with the shirt very
Isn't
well.
that lovely, Angus? Same sense of humour as your tailor.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's the bonding session for Tory MPs, organised by William Hague. At the opening of the first session, William Hague said to his MPs, "The way we behave, the way we talk to each other has got to change." To which Anne Widdecombe replied, "Yo, happen, bro, slick me some skin." Which biting sartorial humour marks the end of this bout of ribbing, and the current trend suggests that both teams seem determined to be last, stuck as they are on 6. And so to the round where our panellists pick out an odd one, called naturally our round 3. Paul, your famous 4 are Tony Adams, Andy Norris, Andy Green, and Linford the Squirrel.
Was it Andy Green was the third one?
Yes.
The one left. He's recently broke the land speed record. Broke Ben Johnson's old time at the '88 Olympics. This guy up the top here, Tony Adams.
Tony Adams.
I remember this because it's the same name as the Arsenal footballer. It's not the Arsenal footballer. This guy was stopped for doing 34 or 40 miles an hour on a bike in Cambridge, I think. So he was done for speeding. I can't think the land speed record guy was done for speeding. The squirrel's broken the land speed record because it was hiding in his glove compartment. The milk cart there, you can see is going so fast, it's a blurry photograph. The photographer hasn't even caught it properly. Well, it's got to be that... it's got to be the land speed record guy hasn't been booked for speeding, as improbable as it all sounds, the rest of them have.
Is the right answer. Yes, improbable as it does sound, it is the right answer. They've all been caught breaking the speed limit with the exception of Andy Green, who quite legally broke the land speed record in his supersonic car Thrust. They've had to...
How did this squirrel get it done for speeding?
We want to know.
Well, I was just about to tell you. Yeah.
And I asked at the right time.
Yes, you did. Very nearly. I'll tell you about Tony Adams first, though, because after being flagged down in
No,
Cambridge...
why don't you do it out of order, just to see if you can?
Right, I'll tell you all about Linford the squirrel then, shall I?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
He was caught on film by a speed camera in Scotland, which showed that he was flying past the camera at an incredible 43 miles per hour. One explanation for this is that the animal is a new breed of super squirrel that could challenge the very basis of genetic science, the other being that he'd just been hit by a large lorry doing...
Is he all right?
Yes, he's fine. Yes, he's sitting up taking light refreshment. So, Ken, your bunch of chums are Gordon Brown, Robin Cook, William Hague, and Michael Portillo.
This is another chance to lose friends, I can see.
Well, I wouldn't
The
worry
odd
about
one
that
out.
too.
The odd one out is that lovely Miguel Portillo.
Was that the picture taken just before he was arrested?
No.
He's the only one who's the son of a communist freedom fighter from Spain.
Well,
the others have all got British parents.
obviously accurate, but not in fact the answer we're looking for.
Is it about, because William Hay took his girlfriend to the conference and Margaret Thatcher was saying, ooh, I don't really like this sort of thing.
Well, more than that, she actually ordered Cecil to tell him off. Cecil, of all people. Yeah.
That had a certain moral authority, I expect.
So it's about taking girlfriends to conferences. And Portillo's married. Is he married? Married. So he's the odd one out.
Is the right answer? Yes, very well done.
William Hague saying to his fiancée, well, you're in for a disappointment tonight.
This was William Hague's first conference as Tory leader, and he received a rapturous reception once Cecil Parkinson had whipped the crowd up in his inimitable style.
William Hague is a winner. He's the right man for the job. There you are, you're supposed to clap.
Bob, your intellectual heavyweights are Tony Blair, John Major, Archbishop George Carey, and Baron Frankenstein.
My first inclination is to say John Major's the odd one out there because of the common denominator being God, and that Baron Frankenstein defied God, and Archbishop Carey obviously deeply believes in God, and Tony Blair believes that he is. John Major was asked if he was walking along the beach and he came across Tony Blair and Margaret Thatcher buried up to their necks in sand, which would he kick first? And he said, Tony Blair, business before pleasure.
It has to do with previous lives.
Oh, yes. John Major was Cleopatra.
I think Carey was a pusher down on the local estate or something.
It's also something that's essential to Frankenstein's work.
Electricity.
They've all worked for the electricity board.
Apart from...
Well, Frankenstein didn't, did he?
is the right answer.
They all work for the electricity board, is that right?
Not just that, they all work for the London Electricity Board. They all work for LEB.
What did Blair do?
When did
Work
you do
for
that?
them.
It's not in the biography. What, you must have been a summer job during the
We got in touch with his office and he assured us that he'd worked for the LEB.
Well, you get through to him quicker than I do.
I wonder why that is, Ken.
Curious, isn't it? Yes, that's right. The answer is they all work for the LEB except Baron Frankenstein. The Baron got his electricity by conducting the power down to his castle via a kite every time there was a thunderstorm. Although this worked out cheaper, it did involve resetting his video clock more often than he would have liked. And finally in this round, Ian, your contentious choice is between Princess Diana, Henry VIII, Frankenstein's monster, and Noddy.
A very odd noddy. A naked noddy.
So
Looks like Big Ears is going to be put on the register, isn't it? Well, I think this is about stamps. So the only thing that links these people is that Noddy's been on stamps with other heroes of British fiction. Henry VIII, he's been on a stamp. And Frankenstein's monster was on a stamp.
what sort of stamp?
Postage stamp.
That looks not dissimilar to this, in fact.
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll, and Prince Charles.
That's the Hound of the Baskerville.
Sorry, it's the Hound of the Baskerville.
Yeah.
But they've all been on stamps, apart from Princess Diana, who the Royal Mail were going to put her on a stamp, but there were various objections, and I think probably it was the Spencer family that objected in the end. There was some argument about it. But I think the grounds were that a stamp with Diana on it wouldn't be tasteful, unlike, say, the Franklin Mint collection, or the T-shirts, or the lighters, or the commemorative issues of the News of the World. We love you, Mom, or the records, or any of the other dross.
Yes, the Royal Mail looks set to scrap millions of stamps featuring pictures of Diana in the face of strong opposition to their release, mainly from tabloid newspapers, who were outraged that someone other than themselves should be cashing in on her death. Henry VIII was married 6 times, and by his last wedding had become, according to one historian, a sick, unhappy, violent man, although on the plus side, his collection of toasters was unrivaled throughout Europe. Which frank exchanges stand at the end of this round, and the worrying situation is that Paul and Ken are currently licking Ian and Bob by a margin of 11-8. And so to our ultimate aim, the missing words round, a random selection of arbitrary headlines, including many or fewer from this week's guest publication, the unpick-upable and indeed untrue Accountancy Matters.
It's got the Spice Girls on the front.
So, first up, what crisis hits Northern Ireland?
Accountancy.
Is very nearly the right answer. Accountant crisis.
I bet that's their major worry.
Once upon a time, apparently 60% of the country's accountants were properly trained, and now it's fallen to just 3/4 of them. Next, Livingstone launches what?
Mandelson Memorial Appeal.
Queen Mother to
I
replace...
did, I promise I did. Yeah.
I wondered when the note of triumphalism was going to hit.
No.
Were you very pleased to beat him? That's a rhetorical question.
It was a happy moment.
Had you waited for years?
8 years.
How long does it take them to count up the votes then?
Bid to be mayor. You want to be mayor, I gather.
If they ask, you know. I wouldn't want to push myself forward or anything. What are you laughing at?
No, the answer is, in fact, a backbench backlash is what it was about.
It was me.
Yeah, it was you.
Is this a leak, Ken?
Are you saying I'm being a critic or something?
Well, you apparently, I don't know about critic, you accused Gordon Brown of planning to abolish British industry, Tony Blair of running away from debate, your colleagues of spouting waffle they don't believe, David Blunkett of having no sense of fulfilment, and the media for not scrutinising the government properly. I don't think I left
Oh, I remember
anyone
that
out.
now, yeah.
All comes flooding back. Right, thank you. Next, France opposes what?
Anything English?
Courtesy to tourists.
Off we go again.
France opposes Bob Monkhouse's appalling jokes.
Oh, Ted. I love you. You really are a rhinestone in the rough.
Can we have an explanation, please?
The answer is, in fact, amortisation of intangibles. But it is...
Well, we all do if you've got any sense.
Yeah. Any idea why?
No, what's amortisation mean?
Well, the thing is that it'll mean charging... the reason they're opposing it is because it'll mean charging the income statement twice, you see, because first the amortisation expense itself, and the second the cost of maintaining and developing the intangible asset, which also maintains
Look at
the
me
intangible
and say
asset.
Look at my eyes and say that. And look down there, look at me.
I can't, this is the answer on the card.
Well, I'll hold it up then.
Well, I won't be able to read it from there.
What is amortisation, though?
Amortisation, oh, it's...
Well, he's looking down there again.
It's something to do with accountancy. And finally, Labour rebels told what gag?
Old Monkhouse.
Labour rebels.
Told old gag about man who goes into a restaurant and he says to the waiter, he says, a bowl of soup, please. And the waiter comes back from the kitchen and he's got his thumb in the soup. And the bloke says, well, what are you doing? The waiter says, well, I put my thumb in the soup to keep it warm. And the customer says, well, why don't you shove it up your arse? He says, I do when I'm in the kitchen. Gag.
Paul, are you the bastard who nicked my joke book?
I was done for receiving stolen goods.
The answer is, in fact, to sign.
To sign.
There you go.
Yes.
Which patent nonsense only serves to reveal that this week's scrap metal are Ian and Bob with 9 points, whilst this week's top brass are Paul and Ken with 13. And I leave you with news that in Westminster, new staff at number 10 are trained the correct way to greet Peter Mandelson. In Sheffield, a woman loses her appeal against unfair dismissal for falling asleep in a rivet factory. And there's a surprise in store for a suicide bomber as he forgets to put his clock back. Good night.